That I'm not too sure what's happening with my connection tonight. I said the devil is a liar. We're doing this broadcast, good or bad. So I'm happy if you've come back on. Thank you so much. I do apologize. I don't quite know what's happening there. We had an issue with the sound. Anyway, I am here today to discuss things to watch for when dealing with estate agents in the UK. Now, a big trend that's been going on recently is a lot of people coming forward. Most of the things I discuss on this channel are generally experiences that customers have come to me with. I'm always just sharing people's stories with you guys. So I've had quite a few in the last week or two where people are getting scammed. You know, they're paying out money to these estate agents, people pretending to be estate agents, and that sort of thing. So it's a really important one for us to cover this week. I had a plan to do something else, but I thought we really need to address this. Okay, so thank you all for being with me. If you do have a question, this week we're going to try and keep it within 1 hour. So I will plead with you to go on the YouTube link. It's the link on our bio, and then send your questions in there. I might not be able to take all questions on Instagram this week, but we'll try our best to get to everyone. Hi, Lillian. Hi, Daniel on YouTube. Thank you for joining. Okay, so just to get straight into it, first of all, before we get to dealing with estate agents, I'm just going to briefly touch on temporary accommodation. Now, this is a question that comes up all the time. Temporary accommodation, how long should I book for? You know, it varies depending on what part of the country you are going to. There are areas where you can probably get a house in less than a month. There's certain areas where we're finding people are staying up to 2 to 3 months in temporary accommodation. So like I've said in past episodes, you need to really be prepared for that part, because that's what gives people problem. They come with an exact amount of how much they're going to spend on their rent and how much is going to temporary accommodation. And then if you don't get it on time, you start spending into the rent you're supposed to spend. So I have about 2 clients in that situation now where they have been in Airbnb so long, the money they intended to spend for the rent of the house is all gone to temporary accommodation, and they're in a bit of a fix. So please, I just thought I'd touch on that really briefly. If you're coming to London, any of the very big cities, you will likely get something within a month. You know, within about a month, 3 weeks to a month. And this is why people are getting scammed, because Nigerians, sometimes we hate hearing, the people come to me, I will tell you the truth. I always give you the truth. This is the thing. I'm not going to promise you a service I cannot deliver, because I feel like raising people's expectation unnecessarily is really bad. So people come to me and say, oh, how long will it take for you to get a house? I will say it will take between 10 days to 2 weeks at the very minimum. Sometimes if you're in different areas, we even give you longer timescales, and people don't want to hear that. They say, oh, I'll go find somebody else to do it for me. You run to somebody else that is promising you heaven and earth, and when the time comes, they can't deliver. This is why people are getting scammed. So you are leaving Nigeria, you're coming to a different system. Let us who are here tell you how it works. You understand? Don't think, oh, I'm going to make it work regardless of what happens. I'm not going to pay Airbnb. There's many reasons why you need temporary accommodation. First of all, your right to rent. Till you come here and get your biometric card, you're not going to be able to rent. That's the first thing, unless you find a family friend or someone who owns their house and is just renting it out, which will be 1 in 1,000 cases. Most people, you're going to rent on the open market. You're going to deal with estate agents. You're going to go through the processes. It doesn't matter how much money you have. They're not going to give you the house straight away and just say, oh, yeah, there, take the house, you're fine. They have to go through referencing. Referencing takes about 5 days. So, you know, if you've come with the imagination that within 2 days I'm going to get a house, you're setting yourself up for failure already. So this is what we're telling people all the time. Plan ahead. Make sure you've prepared for enough temporary accommodation so that it doesn't come as a shock, so that you're not now, you know, pulling all your savings from Nigeria. Make sure you're well ahead. Ask us. DM me anytime. We might not get back to you straight away. We'll get back within a couple of hours, and we can tell you the area you're going to, how long you need to prepare for. Now, this is how scammers are getting into the whole thing, you know. They are feeding on people's desperation to get something really quick. So this is a typical case where anyone that is playing 419 or scamming you or anything, it's always going to be a case of them promising you something that is not possible. And because you are in a gullible state, you really want something to be done in a very short time for it to happen like magic, you will buy into what they're saying. So, you know, if you have to spread the word, if you're in groups, tell people to be aware of these people that are promising heaven and earth. Now, a story I had just in the week was a gentleman who, from Nigeria, got a house. He got someone to say, okay, they will rent a house. Now, I tell you people all the time, there's a housing crisis in the UK. There's literally a housing crisis. There's a shortage of houses. There's a lot of people coming in for those few houses. What we try and do on this channel is give you the truth of the matter. I'm not going to tell you will get a house 2 days after landing. It's not possible. So imagine somebody that has a house. This is a landlord's market. When I say it's a landlord's market, the landlords can decide and they can do and undo. They can charge anything they want now. Houses that used to be worth £500 2 years ago, people are charging £700-800 for it now. So there's a time when you have like, it's a buyer's market or it's a renter's market because there's an excess of houses and nobody to rent them. Now we're in a landlord's market. The landlords are the one in control. So imagine someone having a house. In the midst of all these thousands of people that are waiting, ready to pay, he doesn't choose any of those. He goes to someone in Nigeria and says, oh, I have a house for you, come and rent. Don't you think there's things wrong with that house for him to do that? And this is exactly the story I'm coming to that happened this week. A gentleman was offered a house from Nigeria to say, oh, there's a house ready for you. He paid everything, paid the deposit. Nobody went to view the house. Nobody knew what was happening in the house. On arrival, this house is damp, is a house that has damp in it. So the walls are wet. You know, it's very bad for your health. You get mold growing in the house. If you have young children, it causes asthma. It's kind of houses that people here will reject outright because it's not fit for living in. And they deceived this man to pay such a huge sum of money, no agreement signed. You see, so when he came now, the gentleman himself, he has breathing condition, he has asthma from his own sort of thing. And then he came, obviously they just took a little bit of paint and covered the wet patches, but you could still see it there, all of this. And he was crying, telling me that, oh, I paid money to these people, look at the way the place is now, it's not fit for living, all that sort of stuff. And what could I do? What can we do when you are being scammed? I tried to give him advice how he could try and recover his money back, you know, steps to take. But financial things like somebody fraud you in this country, even if you go to the police, they will just tell you, go and file a claim in the courts. To get that money back will take you 6 months. By the time you even get the money back, you have given up. You that just came to the country, you have many things you are fighting for, many things you're struggling. So you don't want to be in that position. It's not that the UK system doesn't work or, you know, if you lose money, there's no way to get it back. But it's such a long process that at the end of the day, you know, I've spoken on this channel. A few weeks ago, we had a lady in London looking for houses. And then, you know, with desperation, she's paying holding deposits to so many people. In the end, they will come back with stories. So these are the things I'm trying to cover tonight. Steps to be aware of. Steps to be aware of. So please, we all want to get here. We want the housing thing to be solved on day one. Face reality. You are coming to a place. You've seen the stories on Instablog. You've seen people who have come in the last 6 months, how they are crying, things are hard, this and that. That's the reason we started this channel, is to get people prepared and to give you solutions. It's not just people crying, saying, oh, this happened to me, there's no solution. It's to give you a realistic solution, tell you what's happening in the country so that you are better prepared for when you come. So please, this should be the way you gather your visa money, the way you gather your flight money, make sure you've gathered Airbnb money. I can't emphasize it enough. You're not going to get it from Nigeria. If you do, it's going to be a house that is not fit for purpose. maybe 5 in 100 people will get a good house in Nigeria, or 2 in 100 people. So that's not the vast majority, you know? So let's be realistic. Prepare. Make sure you find out, ask us questions, anything you need to know. Once there's a lot of money going into anything in this life, you're going to see businesses that will come up that genuinely want to help people, and you're going to see scammers that will come up. This is just the way life is. You know, it's very sad that people will take advantage of their own people. The reason I started this business and this channel was we're seeing people in bad situations and we're trying to help. And it's the same way people see and they think, oh, let's scam them, let's try and get some money out of them. So please, this is what we're talking about tonight, dealing with estate agents in the UK. Now, okay, so we'll just move over that briefly to some things you should really be watching out for. Now, there's a thing called holding deposits in this country. Let's assume you go to a property, you view the property, you like the property, you understand, you're ready to move forward, you're ready to make your offer for this property. At that point in time, there might be 10 other people that are ready to move forward with that property, not just yourself. So there might be 5, 6, 7 people. That's when you go through property referencing. You go through the referencing process. They check your work, they check if you can afford affordability, they check your credit, that you have not had any bad history in the UK before, all that sort of stuff. So, you know, this is the steps you have to go through. Now, when you make that offer to say, I'm interested in this house, I want to proceed, they're going to make you fill in the form for everything, and they make you pay 1 week rent. Now, not just Nigerians are scamming people in Nigeria. The estate agents here, who are British people, the UK people, have turned this holding deposit system to a scam. It's a very big scam now, because they will collect that 1 week rent from like 6, 7, 8 people. And at the end of the day, if you fail the referencing, that holding deposit is not refundable. So if you've just joined us on Instagram, we're talking about dealing with estate agents in the UK. This is a very important one. If you have a question to give to us, please click on the link on our bio and you can join on YouTube. We're taking questions only on YouTube tonight. So please join on YouTube. You can send your question there. And everything I'm talking about is on the screen as well. So it's a bit more interactive. So yes, they have turned this holding deposit system into a scam kind of thing. They will make about 5, 6, 7 people pay the holding deposit. Once they've paid, then they will now come and say, oh, you have failed the referencing. So you know, that's like 6 people are going to lose their holding deposit, or 7 out of the 7 that paid. So don't rush to pay a holding deposit. A lady I was helping in London as well, in the last 2 weeks or so, last 2 months, not even 2 weeks at this point. She's been looking for a very long time. She's paid holding deposit to 3 different people now. And then they will come back and say this, that. And we try to warn her, don't just rush. But sometimes people want to even be overexcited on what we are doing and say, oh, they know it better, they want to do it, which is fine. If you want to do your search yourself, the way we break down the services, there's parts you can do yourself, but we will always be there to give you guidance and say, do it this way, do it that way. But if you refuse to listen to what we're saying, you're probably going to fall into a scam or into a shady situation. Now, you know, one of the things with this holding deposit and referencing, holding deposit is non-refundable. Once you pay it back under the law of the country, they don't have to give you back. They can look for any slightest excuse to hold on to that money, and that money is gone. Is the biggest scam going, I can see from the estate agents now. So like this lady I'm referring to, she paid for the first 2. What did they tell her on 1? They said, oh, after she paid the holding deposit, she has gone to view the property. They said, oh, it's not ready. We have to change the carpet. We are still doing work. You know, this work is going to take another 2 weeks. She was in Airbnb. She was getting desperate. I said, okay, chill. Wait for these 2 weeks, because the system of the holding deposit means that if they fail, you know, if you pass all the referencing and everything goes fine, they have to give you the house. If for any reason you say, I'm not continuing again, it doesn't matter the reason, whether the house is rubbish, whether, whatever it comes to. If you say, I do not want to continue, your holding deposit is gone, which is normally about 200 to 300 pounds, 1 week rent of what your monthly rent is. That's what you use to secure a holding deposit. So these are a few of the things I wanted to talk about tonight. When you go to view a property, a very important question for the estate agents is, when is it ready to move? A lot of you are viewing properties. When you get to the property, you will see that the current tenant is still living there. They'll say, oh, the guy is going next week. Then if you can talk to that tenant, ask the tenant. Also, we have problem tenants here that they would have told the landlord, I beg your pardon, I'm moving next week, this sort of thing. When the next week comes, the guy will say, oh, I've not found a place, this, and it drags. So it's not that the estate agent is trying to scam you in that situation, but it's just that they're still fighting with the old one to go. This is why I say you need enough time for your Airbnb. If that situation happens and you've paid the holding deposit, unfortunately, you are tied into it. The minute you decide to say, I'm not doing again, or I want to go pay another holding deposit, you're saying goodbye to that money. That's what it is. So please be very, in that sense, it's about playing a game of patience, and desperation will make you do things you shouldn't do. So like I'm saying, this lady, she paid for 2 different holding deposits. One, they were saying they had to do work. The other one, they said there's a tenant that's not yet moving out. Like joke, she now came with Nigerian fire. We Nigerians, we can be aggressive in a way. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on tonight is some of our attitudes and behaviors. Even when things are not going right, don't switch on that Nigeria way that I will share with it for them and they will do. Nobody will listen to you. You will waste your time. You will make noise. Even if you go and call police, they would say, you paid the holding deposit. They're being reasonable with you. They're telling you to wait 1 or 2 more weeks. You cannot force them that because they said so and so. So, they must do it that way. So please, in the search, you have to be patient. To be patient means to have a place to stay, because the reason why we are not patient is because your Airbnb money is running every day and you are thinking, oh my God, I'm paying £400, £500 a week. Don't tell an estate agent after paying your holding deposit that you are no longer interested. The minute you make that statement, your money is gone. So that's one for people to really watch out for. Get the date of the move-in confirmed before you sign any documents, before you pay any holding deposit. Get them to confirm to you what is the move-in date. A lot of people, they will send me adverts from Rightmove, from Zoopla. They'll say, oh, call this one. When I'll go through, they would have hidden in the description moving date, maybe 2 months' time or 1 month time. I'll now screenshot it and send it back to the client. That, are you willing to wait 2 months? Then they'll say, oh, sorry, I didn't even see it. Oh, imagine if you were running that one by yourself. That's a typical one where you will go through the whole process without confirming the moving date, and then they will turn around and tell you you can't move in for the next 1 month or 2 months. You'll get frustrated. You'll say you are not waiting, or you need to find something else. You've lost your money. So it's a big kind of scam that's going on now. And I think people should be more alert to this thing. Not everything you see online is actually available. It's the same thing with what I'm saying. People go on these websites, you search in the area you are looking for, and you see 10 properties come up. In reality, only about 3 or 4 of those properties are available. So just because you see it online doesn't mean it's available. A lot of times, what the estate agents do is they leave those old adverts there just to keep attracting crowds, attracting people to come. When you come, they say, oh, it's not there, but we have another one that they've not shown you. And, they use that to try and to deceive you, to get you on their books. So please remember, it's that saying, when you are in Rome, behave like a Roman. If you're here, don't bring this Nigerian sort of shouting with them, trying to think you can be aggressive and they will suddenly listen. To them, it's just another job. All your shouting and your desperation about your Airbnb, it goes in one ear, it comes out the other. At a certain point, they will stop answering your call because UK people don't know how to deal with noise and shouting and all of that. So it's not going to work. You have to do your research before. You have to know what you are getting into. Don't just run and say, oh, I want it, I'm paying money. A lot of people will go and pay holding deposit when you are not even in the position to pass the referencing. So they are happy to take your money. They will say, pay it. When they say, oh, bring 3 months pay slip, bring 3 month bank statement, bring this, bring that, and you don't have that, your money is gone. So this is what I'm saying. Talk to us. These are the things we help people scale over. You know, some of you might have seen a property we put on the page a few days ago about guarantor service. This lady was in the middle of her something, and they tried every way to stop her getting that property. Like, oh, bring this, bring that, bring that. She came to us last minute and we managed to help her get a guarantor on there and secure the property. But yeah, don't go into the position where it's at the point of you've already paid. That's when they will start surprising you with different things and you cannot fulfill those things. You're going to lose your holding deposit. Another important thing, we're just putting this on the screen on YouTube. Don't be too picky or over-selective. Now, I mean, it's a bit like contrary because I've just spoken about 5 minutes ago about somebody who came and the house was with mold. And then on the other hand, I'm telling you, don't be too picky. Of course, anything that is a health concern, anything that might affect your health or is not good or dangerous, yes, don't go for such a property. But on the grand scale of things, I had a client last week and who we were advising. Please realize that where you're coming from is not where you're going to. UK and Nigeria are not the same. A lot of you live in very beautiful houses in Nigeria. Space is, you know, the houses we have in Nigeria, if you build your house yourself or even, you know, you have decent space. UK doesn't have space like that. So a lot of homes you might see, it might be a house where the kitchen doesn't have a separate door. You know, your kitchen is on one side and your living room is called open plan living. So, you know, a lot of Nigerians don't like such houses because when you are cooking all this hot soup and pepper and everything, it's like it's in the parlor. I had a client last week, he rejected such a home. And this is somebody that has been looking for almost 2 months. And he said, oh, I don't want it because I want my kitchen to have a door because of my child. Now, we went back and forth over this issue. There's ways to child-proof a home. These are not reasons why British people will reject a home. A British person with a child will take that home. How much less you coming from Nigeria, who is less, you are more of a disadvantage to start rejecting homes for these things. It's not the same. It's not like a child can reach where the gas is. There's controls, there's things to make things safer. You understand? Even down to like doors and everything, there's a way certain doors will lock or open that a child cannot open it. I had a client reject a house to say, oh, once they open the parlor door, you are on the main road. There's no hallway or anything in between. And because they have a child, it's usually people with children that are very selective with the homes. British people here, born here, lived here all their life, they have children and they live in such homes. Anybody who was on the live stream last week, you would have noticed there was a lady who was talking about burglary proof that, there's no burglary in the house, so is it safe for me to live in? Where you are coming from is not where you are going to. You cannot use Nigerian standards to judge these things. So if you're not sure, you need advice, speak to us. But don't just start turning away homes that are very good because there's not a lot of them. So by the time you have rejected 2-3 places, you know, you're just making it so much more difficult. I've told a lot of people this, you're not going to find your dream home as the first home. You're coming into a new country, there's many obstacles, and it's usually the ladies. I think I've only had one guy that was very, very selective and picky and say, oh, I want to live in this posh high tower house where I can be seeing the city. And I say, oh, guy, you just came. You just came. You need to calm down. Take the first house you can get now. 6 months later, you will be working, your wife will be working, you people will be in the system more. You can move. You understand? Your first house doesn't determine that this is where you're going to live forever. You just need something over your head that is enough for your family, first of all. Later, you know, I have a lady who has rejected the home, say, oh, the energy rating. They're saying that this house uses more energy than other houses. The difference will be 10 or 15 pounds a month. You are going to stay in Airbnb looking for the house that will give you the correct energy rating for the next 2 months. You see, you have to weigh these things up. And I know a lot of us are in groups, we're in Instagram groups, we're in Telegram groups where people are making content just to get your attention, you know, saying this, that, this is important. Don't get too stuck on those things. When you come newly, your main objective is just to get into somewhere that will take you. I tell clients this all the time. The house that you want may not want you. You know, you are dealing with buyers. This same lady I spoke about earlier that she paid holding deposit in 2 places. The area she wants to live in London is where the Jewish people live, where very rich people live. She can afford it. She has the money. First of all, why do you think all black people live in a certain place? Why do you think all Nigerians, we have our community here? Me, myself, I don't live in a Nigerian community, but I've been here 20 years. So it is taking time. I started there. After a while, moved to the next place, moved to the next place, moved to the next place to get to where I am now. It doesn't happen overnight to just say, oh, I don't want to live where Nigerians are living. Because that is the area that you will see Nigerians that are landlords that may be more favorable to you. You go and view 3, 4 properties. You say, oh, I don't like this one. The kitchen doesn't have door. I don't like this one. The energy rating is too high. They say I'll be using this. I don't like this. By the time you have rejected, the time you will find the one that you like, that house may not like you. Number one, the landlord may not like you. They may not want a black person in their house. Number two, you may not pass the referencing for that house. So these are the things people are dealing with. That's why I say don't be too picky. There's certain things to look for. If it's going to be affecting the health of your children or yourself, fair enough. Reject a house that is dangerous. I beg your pardon. But anything that is aesthetics, the way it looks or the way it does this, no. Just because the way they build houses here are different. You may open your front door. As you open the door, the first room you come into is the parlor. It's very common here. And that door may be next to a main road. So that's the reason why a client rejected the house with us once. It says, oh, there's a very busy road there, so I'm scared my child will open the door and go in the road. How many days do you read in the papers here or do you see in the news that children just ran out? There's special kind of lock here for that door. There's things they have done. You cannot say we are suddenly now overthinking more than what these people have been thinking. Not that I'm downgrading Nigerians or anything, but you know, they've been living in this tight society for a long time. So they have done things. Their safety regulations are much higher than anything we are used to. You know, so they are aware of these things. They know exactly, okay, you know, a special child-proof lock will be there. This, that. You can set different things. If you have a toddler, you can put certain, you know, like cages, restrictions that they can't go past. There's things to reject a house for that. When people do this, I would just be laughing and say, Oga, are you sure? I'm telling you, please take this house. So it's not easy. They will say no. Then the same person will now be paying for Airbnb for 2 months, still not finding a place. So don't be too picky. It's really important that we are not over-selective. Remember that saying, the house you want might not want you. You are new in the country. At this stage, you just want something over your head. So if that's anything we can leave you guys with this week. So yeah, that's most of what I have to cover. 3 things to avoid getting scammed. If it sounds too good to be true from Nigeria, if everybody you see on Telegram groups, people are complaining it's hard to get housing in UK, you have to get there to get it, you have to be in Airbnb, and somebody now just comes from nowhere and say, oh, I have a house for you. Number one, there will be something wrong with that house. Why is it the person not renting it here? Why is the person not renting it here? Why do they want someone from Nigeria? Because you can't see it. If you even get such an offer, contact a company like us and say, okay, please, I want to arrange for you to go and view a specific house that somebody has shown me that I want to rent. Before you part with any money, we'll go there, we'll make videos, extensive sort of things for you and show you exactly what's going on there. Look out for certain things. So if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, you know. Make sure someone views the property before you make payment. Don't just do it by video. There's usually something wrong. Make sure you've got a relative, someone, even hire a company to go and look for it. Get a solid available move-in date before you pay a holding deposit. Make sure they are telling you what date you'll be able to move into, you know, and even if they have to have that on paper written somewhere, make sure you get that. So yes, hopefully that helps some of us with our decision making. Please don't just run and give your money to all these scammers. Like I said, anywhere there's money, you'll find people that want to start businesses. You, on the other side of the scale, you'll find people that want to scam people. There's a lot of people coming to UK. People are realizing that, oh, they can get money off people. Be very, very careful. All right, so we have a few questions on YouTube. Kindly, if you are on Instagram and you do have a question, just click on the link in our bio. There's a link to take you straight to the YouTube stream and you can send your questions there and then we'll be happy to take them. So Lillian, you say, what is the average cost of Airbnb in London? It depends on the part of London you are going to and the size of property you are looking at. So if you're looking for a room in a shared house, you would be spending anywhere between 300 to 500 a week. If you're looking at a whole flat, like a studio flat, one bedroom, it could be anywhere in the range of 600, 700 a week. So it just depends on the part of London, the size of the property. So if you come back with a bit more information, we can certainly check that out for you. We'll move on to Daniel Gift. Good evening. Thanks for staying with the broadcast. Please, what's the average cost of Airbnb in Manchester? So it's a similar answer for you as well. We need a bit more details. Are you after a 2-bedroom? Are you after a room in a shared house? Big difference. How many people are coming? That's what we need to know. We have some on the page. Those are 2 bedrooms. They're about £60 a night. So that's about what you'll be paying for a 2-bedroom in Manchester, 60 to 70 pounds a night if you're looking for a 2-bedroom. If you're looking for a shared room in a shared house, maybe £40 a night, somewhere in that range. 1 bedroom could be up to £50 a night. It just depends on the size. Okay, so we've got Glam Kids on YouTube. Thank you for joining. Hi, does your services cover a city like Derby? Certainly, we cover everywhere in the UK. So any city you're coming to in the UK, we actually cover. So if you're looking for permanent accommodation, if you need to book Airbnb, we can certainly help with that. If you're on Instagram, please, if you do have a question, join our stream on YouTube. We'll be able to take your questions there. You just click on the link in the bio and it'll take you straight to the YouTube stream. Okay, so Daniel, you've come back. Just a studio flat, 3 people. Okay, so I'll have a quick look for you. And we can tell you exactly what that will cost. But yeah, even the temporary accommodation is getting ridiculous. If you know your dates and you are coming sort of September and you already know your dates, you booked your tickets, please. The problem with temporary accommodation is it just depends on availability and it changes so quickly. So in London now, you can find places that are £200 a night if you are booking this week. But if you have booked that place 3 months ago, it'll probably be 70, 80 pounds. So the closer it gets to the date, the higher the price goes and the fewer options are available because other people are booked. So that's another thing. Dates are really important when it comes to temporary accommodation. But obviously, you just want to have an idea of what to pay. So I totally understand what you mean. So for apartments in Manchester, you said studio flats. I'm looking for next week, for instance. There's things from about £70, £80, which is quite expensive, 80, £90. So it just depends on when you book it. For a 2-bedroom, you're looking at £130. So, Daniel, if you want to look at our own, the one we have on the page, you see where we are talking about 60 or £70 a night. But what I'm looking on Airbnb now for next week, I can't see anything for a studio flat less than about £80, £90 a week. So the earlier you book it in, the better. Even if you're doing it with us, if you're doing it on Airbnb, you want to get your dates and get it in soon. Glam Kids, can you assist a family of 5 get an accommodation, 3-bedroom, semi-detached in Derby before coming to the UK? We can certainly help you. Are you very stuck on the idea of having a semi-detached? Because it's very detailed. So if you've been listening to what I've said in the last few minutes, don't be too picky. 3 bedrooms is 3 bedrooms. If it's a 3-bedroom flat, if it's a 3-bedroom semi-detached, don't get stuck on I want semi-detached, because you will end up in temporary accommodation for months searching for that specification. The house you want may not want you. Get into one place first. So when I see messages like that, already I'm thinking you are attached to one idea. Don't let semi-detached be the thing that stands out. You want a 3-bedroom, certainly you can get a 3-bedroom. But if you're very insistent on a certain type of house in a certain type of way, it could mean that you are waiting for longer. Now, the other part of your question is saying before coming to the UK. Unfortunately, we can't get it before you come. You will need to be here for us to get the property for you. First of all, you need to get your right to rent. And the only way to get your right to rent filled out on the government website is by getting your biometric card on arrival. You get your biometric card from the post office the day or the next day after you arrive. Once you get that biometric card, you can fill in your right to rent, because every estate agent you go to is going to ask you for your right to rent share code, any legit estate agent. And this is the thing, we tell people all these rules and regulations and they think, oh, it's too hard. I want to go do it with somebody that doesn't ask for those things. Well, these are the scammers. So, we only tell you what the law is, how it goes. It's left to people to say, oh, I want to get it from there. I don't want to pay Airbnb. Glam Kids, I don't know if you were here at the start of the session today. This is what we started on. You need to prepare for temporary accommodation. As important as you buying your ticket, as important as you paying your visa fee, that's how important temporary accommodation is now. You're not going to get a house within 2 days of landing in the UK. It's not possible, unfortunately, especially in England. If you're going to Wales or Scotland, it may be possible. In a few instances. But in England, you need right to rent. So unless you find a Nigerian landlord that's trying to do things under the books, most estate agents you go to, your passport alone is not enough to rent, or your visa. There's something we call right to rent. There's a government website. You just type right to rent in Google UK and it will take you to that website. You need your biometric card to fill it in. You're supposed to be able to use your passport and visa to fill it, but it doesn't work for Nigerian passports. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. We've been doing it for over 6 months. It doesn't work for Nigerian passports. The only way Nigerian passport holders can do it is when they arrive here and get their this thing filled out, the biometric filled out. So they use their biometric to fill it out. So I think it's the format, because British passports only have numbers. They don't have letters. Nigerian passports, your passport number will normally start with something like A and some numbers. So their system doesn't recognize Nigerian passports. So you need to use the biometric card, which is issued by them, to fill in your right to rent. I'm just going to put that on the screen so that you can have a look at that later. Okay, I'll come back to that shortly. Let me just take a few more questions. Glam Kids. So Lillian, you've come back with another question. If you are watching us on Instagram and you do have a question, please just click on the link in our bio. It will take you to YouTube and we'll take your question there. Thank you. Can a family of 4 stay in a 1-bedroom Airbnb? I'm looking at Bromley or Croydon. Now, that's the good question, because if you are renting your permanent accommodation, family of 4, they won't allow you in 1 bedroom because they will say it's too small, you need room. But temporary accommodation, you will find landlords that are willing to take any size in 1 bedroom or in studio. So definitely you can get 1 bedroom. Don't worry about that. In terms of temporary, they know you're only there for a short time. They know you can squeeze, that sort of thing. So they're not too worried. I beg your pardon. So Lillian, yes, you can get a family of 4 for 1 bedroom. In fact, when you go on Airbnb and search two adults, 2 children, most of the things that will come up first are 1 bedroom. So they don't worry about it as much. It's only when you are doing your permanent one. Okay, so we got another question. Esther Ekanem on YouTube. Can I get an apartment 2-bed in Salford for September? And what should my budget look like? So a 2-bedroom in Salford, you'll be looking somewhere between 1,200 to about 1,500. Salford is quite expensive, even though it's just outside Manchester. It's quite expensive. So that's what I would budget. If you're coming in September, unfortunately, Manchester is in England, so you do need your right to rent. So you would need to be here to get it. Okay. So on Instagram, TMF, thank you for our certificates. We appreciate you. Numbers of people who patronize you very well. You are tested and trusted. I will indeed tell our families and friends about you. Thank you so much for that comment. So, we do help put people in contact with jobs here, people looking for care jobs, that sort of thing. If you're interested in that, you can always shoot us a message. We can help you process your application, put everything together for you, get you in contact with companies that are actually recruiting. And yeah, like someone has just commented, we are tested and trusted. So we will definitely not be... I've heard so many stories of people getting scammed along those lines as well. We don't deal with any companies that are not sort of above board. So yeah, if you're interested in that, definitely give us a call. That's all the questions I have for now. This show is lined up to end at 10 o'clock, I beg your pardon. So if you do have a question, please put it through on YouTube and we'll take your questions. If you've missed any part of the live stream, we've been talking today about how to deal with estate agents in the UK, things to look out for. If somebody is promising you a house from Nigeria, that, oh, I have a place for you, this or that, there is a housing crisis in the UK now. Many people are looking for houses they can't find. So why has this person left all the available tenants that are here with money and said they want someone from Nigeria? And because in Nigeria, we like, everybody wants to be very smart, this and that. You don't want to pay Airbnb. You think, oh, I can do it faster. You will easily fall into the hand of a scammer because that house may not be fit for you. We have so many people, as I said earlier in the session, a gentleman who has asthma and has been put in a house with damp. That's a house here that will not pass any inspection, Okay. So I got another one from Glam Kids. Please, for the references, as new immigrants, would they accept Nigerian account statements? That's a really good question. No, unfortunately. Some estate agents, I've seen 1 or 2 that will accept it. This is very local, specific to a certain area in London, where they asked for the Nigerian statements, but most do not accept Nigerian statements. So when you come here, we have another video on the channel about bank accounts to open. Some of you have Monzo or Revolut already. Whatever account you have, if it's a Lloyd's account, once you're in temporary accommodation, I find a lot of people doing this as well. It's like the accommodation consumes everything else. There's so many things you have to be doing as soon as you get here. Don't wait till you get your house. Apply for an account. Apply for your NI number. Make sure that you have that already working, doing things, so that you're not just facing that. So by the time they ask you for account, you would have had an account that has already been opened and you can fill these forms out. So in your temporary accommodation, put that as your address for your first account, you know, just to receive the card. And once you get the card, obviously, you have your first 1 month statement. So you might not have 3 that they're asking for, but at least you will have 1. Because when you pay your rent here, most times you pay your rent by direct debit, which means automatically at the end of the month, they will just come and take their money. So you have to make sure the money is there for them before that last day of the month. So when you are filling the form, you have to put the account details of where they're going to be taking this money from. I've said it on previous shows before, UK is not a cash society. So a lot of you come, you have a lot of big cash in your hand, £7,000, £10,000. It means nothing here. You have to have an account to show where they will be taking their money from. So as soon as you come, open an account. It doesn't matter you've not found your house. Get an account going. Okay, so I'm just going to take 1 or 2 on Instagram. But please, if you can join us on YouTube, kindly do that. Zadam Fabric, those all rents have to be 6 months and not monthly. Does all rent have to be 6 months and not monthly? So that's a very nice question. If you are coming as a student and you have no proof of income, so imagine 2 of you are coming, you and your wife, maybe your wife is a student, you are planning to work full time, and you guys arrive, you don't have a job yet, it's going to be very, very hard to rent. You know, people that are coming on skilled worker visa, they have it a bit easier because at least one person has a job already before arriving. If you have a certificate of sponsorship, you come on a skilled worker visa, one of you has a job. So a lot of the requirements, I beg your pardon, are reduced because that person has a letter to show how much they will be earning per year, all that sort of thing. So they have proof of income. When you're coming on a student visa, you have no proof of income till you start working, unfortunately. So that's where 6 months rent in advance becomes more important. They want some months ahead, but there's ways we get around that. So send us a message, Zadem Fabric, and we can help with you. Funlolafa, hello, good evening. Thank you for joining again. What happens to your business while you are touring in May, June, July? I'm only going for about a month. We're going to 6 countries in West Africa. So we're going to Benin Republic, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Gambia, Senegal. Very excited for that trip. A lot of Nigerians, we love to boast, oh, I've been to Italy, I've been to here, but your next neighbor, you have never been there. So what we're trying to do is raise awareness, not just for Nigerians, for even British people, other people who live here, of how they can do package tours and things to West Africa and show the beauty of some of these places. So the business will continue, not to worry. I have a lot of people working on ground, agents to search for houses. I'll still be taking messages. I might do 1 or 2 live shows from one of these countries, but fingers crossed, that depends on internet connection and the rest. But everything will keep ticking over, so not to worry. I'll still be here for everyone. Okay, so we'll take a few more on YouTube now because we're coming to the end of the show, but just before we go. So that was Glam Kids in regards to Nigerian account statements. So I hope I answered that question. They don't really take Nigerian statements. They need them here. As soon as you come, open an account. There's a video on my YouTube channel that tells you the best accounts to open. Number 1 I would go for is Lloyds Bank. Try Lloyds Bank. They would normally open an account quite easily for you. Put all your big money in there. And, you know, you can generate a statement from the app. So as soon as you have that, you say, oh, I just came, but I have 1 month statement. They can see the money there. They know where they will be taking their rent from. So you can get around sort of things like that. Okay, so we have Daniel Gift. Once one gets to the UK, how do we expect to go about getting a job? Like the dependents and the one studying, what are the steps to take, please? I would say, please contact me after this. I don't want to go off in a tangent on jobs. I have some shows from past weeks where we have dealt with jobs and what jobs are easy for you to get into. So if you look through our live shows, and every live show we put up, after the show, we put chapters under the show. So just look in the description on YouTube. If you don't need to listen to the whole 2-hour show, just go to the part about jobs, and then you can see what we've said before. So this week, we're just focusing on estate agents, how to deal with them, and property. So I don't really want to go into jobs too much. But you can send me a message, definitely. I'll always come back to you. We've got another one on jobs. Do you have links for jobs in Nottingham? Do you think student accommodation is cheaper for an undergrad? Adeyinka Gabs Samuel, thank you for joining. First time I've seen a question for you, so I do appreciate you being on YouTube. Thank you so much. We do not have jobs in Nottingham. And when you say jobs, are you referring to care jobs? Because we help people with care jobs from Nigeria. So if you're looking for companies that offer sponsorship, we do help with that. But if you're just looking for any job to do when you've come to the UK, please go to some of our past shows. Exactly what I was telling the last question. Look in the captions and you will see where we've covered jobs. So we do extensive bits about what you should be doing, like getting an SIA license for security jobs, come with your international driving license so that you have more opportunities. But we are not a job agency. We are more focused on accommodation, but obviously we help people with all factors about relocating, but it's not like we have jobs to give in different places. We're about accommodation. So that's more what we do. Okay. So thank you, Adeyinka. I hope that helps. Just look in one of our last live videos. A lot more on jobs there. You can watch quite a bit about jobs. John Ella, thank you for joining. Also a new name I'm seeing for the first time. So I'm quite excited when I see new people putting in questions. Not that the old people put in the corner, but it's always nice to see new people. So thank you for joining. Budget for a one-room apartment, Sunderland or Birmingham, January 2024. Okay, so that's nice. You've got quite a bit of time to come if you're not coming till January next year. So that's good that you're making preparations now. I'll have a quick look for you. Sunderland will be cheaper than Birmingham. I'm not too sure why you are searching in two places. So it might be a case that you're trying to decide on which school to go to, which is quite common. That's a common question I get quite a lot. People are still thinking, where do I go, left, right? Which school should I go to? So I tell you, Sunderland is definitely cheaper than Birmingham, 100%. So if that's where your question is coming from, you want a one-bedroom apartment. So let's have a quick gander for you. Okay, so in Sunderland, you'll be looking on average between 500 to 700 for a one-bedroom apartment. And in Birmingham, so Birmingham is slightly higher. You can go anywhere from 750 to about 900. 750 to 900 in Birmingham. John Ella. So I hope you're still there. I hope that helps with your decision making. I'm just going to see if we have any more on Instagram that we can quickly take before we leave. So Ella Graham. Okay, I think I've answered you on YouTube. So thank you so much for coming across there. And that's the last one, actually. So beautiful. It's 5 past. We did start a bit late today, so I think we started about 10-15 minutes late. So if there's any other questions, I'll hang around for another 5 minutes or so. And hopefully we can help a few more people. So Adeyinka, you've come with another question. Is student accommodation cheaper to a proper studio? What's your take? Does it save a lot of stress of housing deposit? If you are coming as a single person, as a student, head for student accommodation. Honestly, that's what they're there for. Exactly what you said. It takes off a lot of the stress. You won't be dealing with estate agents. Estate agents is like open market, you know, and you're competing with everybody else. You're competing with small families. You're competing with people from other countries. So please, if you can get student accommodation, you are in a beautiful position. A lot of people have come and that has just solved their problem straight away because they could get into student accommodation. They won't ask you for no big deposit. They know you are new in the country. Every student who's come, beg your pardon, for an international course, they don't ask you for all these ridiculous things that estate agents ask. So I hope that helps, Adeyinka. John Ella, thank you for the info. I appreciate your joining. Stay involved with the channel. You do have a bit of time before you come. Tell your friends about us. Yes. Okay, so we have a few more just coming in on Insta. Ucash, can I get accommodation before coming to the UK? No. Well, it depends. So I think you have joined us late. We covered this a bit earlier in the show. Depends on where you are coming to in the UK. If you're coming to England, it's very unlikely. If you're coming to Scotland or Wales, there's a small chance that you can do it. And some certain areas in England as well. We have put some areas on our page like Portsmouth, Hull. If you are coming in September, we will tell you to start now. It is possible for us to secure it. When I mean secure it, we can start talking to the agents because they are already advertising things for September. There's nothing for now. If you are in those cities now looking, there's nothing. So if you're coming in the future in September or sometime soon, we can start talking to them to start taking some things off the market for you. But the final secure will still be when you arrive. But at least you will know all the hard work is done. You've done a video viewing, all of that sort of thing. So yes, another reason why we cannot get accommodation before you come is because of your biometric card. You need to fill in your right to rent. There's a thing called right to rent. So your visa alone is not enough to rent in England. Though you've got the visa, though you've got that. It's this right to rent business. It came up about 5-10 years ago. It's mainly due to terrorists. The time UK was dealing with these people coming from Al-Qaeda and ISIS, and they were renting houses. They were doing crazy things in those houses, putting bombs together, all this nonsense. So just because you have the right to be in the country, they now made a law that landlords and estate agents must know who they are renting to. And those people were coming with fake passports or fake something. So what right to rent is you go on the government website, you put in your visa details, everything, they verify it, and then they send you a code. You give that code to the estate agent or to the landlord, and then they know you have the right to rent. So without that code, that's where the problem comes in. And you should normally be able to do it with your passport and visa, but the system doesn't recognize Nigerian passports because of the letter in the passport number. So the only way you can do it if you're coming from Nigeria is to use your biometric card. This is the single one reason why people are getting scammed, because when I talk all this story, it's like, this guy, what are you talking? I need a house when I get there. I don't want to pay Airbnb. I understand. Don't go to somebody that will promise you something that is illegal or is not possible. They may end up giving you a house that is not fit for rent. This is how we started the show today, because we have a gentleman who is stuck somewhere. He has asthma, and the house they've given him, he cannot breathe in this house. This is a house nobody in UK will rent. That's why they will now come to Nigeria and tell you, oh, there's a house for you. Because it's a house they cannot rent. Number two, they know that when you come, you don't know about the law here. You don't know how to fight to get your money back. So they will just cheat you and take your money. So please, it's very hard to get a house when you are still in Nigeria. We advise don't do it till you get here. We advise you get ready to pay for Airbnb. Put it as part of your planning. Those coming in September, January next year, you have a lot of time to plan. You have a lot of time to save. It's not that we're saying pay Airbnb because we're making money off of you. We book Airbnb for free. If you take our accommodation service for the permanent accommodation, even if you need to pay for taxis, Airbnb, we do all of that sort of things for free. So it's not, we're just pushing it. We're just telling you the reality of what to expect so that you don't come and then you are surprised. You're now borrowing money in Nigeria, trying to look for money you didn't budget for. Plan. That's all we're saying. Okay. Funlola, for disadvantages of a rural area. Number one, it might be very hard to rent a house because a lot of these areas don't want black people. That's just the truth of the matter. Number two, other reasons, just even getting basic commodities, you know, the nearest shop might be miles down the road. If you're going to a rural area in the UK, transport is not easy. You'll very likely be needing a car as soon as you arrive. The way those areas are designed, you know, one house is here, the next house is 5 miles away or 2 miles down the road. You know, and going there as a first timer in the UK, you need to be in a city. You need to be in somewhere you can access things easy because you don't know things yet. So just going to, you know, a very quiet area, you will save on rent. The rent will be cheap, but that's if you can even get the house. So hopefully that helps with your planning. Funlolafa. And thank you for being here as always. Okay, so I got another one on YouTube. Ifunaya Oyedika. That's another new name. Thank you so much for joining. You say thank you for this live session. Very informative. Thank you for joining. This is exactly what we are hoping to do. So that people are not coming blindly. We understand the difficulty of moving from one country to another. Like I've said earlier in the session, where you are coming from is not where you are going to. You cannot equate it. So you definitely need somebody on this side giving you the real view of what's happening, not people on Instablog saying, hey, don't come, oh, it's hard. All this nonsense. Why are you discouraging people? You've come, you are dealing with it. So I hate those posts when I see them. They really agitate me when people that have come cannot keep quiet and they're just making noise all day. It's like, go do your studies or go find a job. You're just you're just bored. So thank you for joining, Funaya. Hopefully you've gotten quite a bit out of this session. And we're here every Sunday evening helping you with any questions, because there's always new questions coming up as you go through your planning. There will always be things coming up. So we're here for you. Send us a DM anytime. Rejuseundede, am I saying that right, on Instagram? Thank you for joining. Can I get a 2-room accommodation in Luton? So you mean a 2-bedroom? You can. Luton is a very hard area to be going to at the moment. So it's one of those with high pressure because of the University of Hertfordshire. A lot of Nigerians choose this university. They've been coming to Nigeria to recruit for over 20 years. Even when I was young in Nigeria in 2003, I went to Museum Center once and University of Hertfordshire were there. So they've been in Nigeria for a long time. A lot of us go to that uni. There's a lot of pressure there. You can get a 2-bedroom. It's one of those ones that will be prepared to stay in temporary accommodation for up to a month. It will take you some time. So it depends on when you are coming. If you're coming for September, start planning towards it now. Seeing if there's properties that they are already advertising against next session. And yeah. So Glam Kids on YouTube. This is your question. It's not the one that they put on live on YouTube, bro. But I understand what you mean. And yes, definitely, sometimes honesty does lose us the houses. You know, a lot of people don't want to rent to you if you have a lot of children. I don't know where that phenomenon came from. It's a new thing. If you just say you have 3 children, 4 children, they just say bye-bye, even if you're renting 3 or 4-bedroom house. So it's very hard right now when you have a lot of children. So sometimes people don't say how many children they have. Keep that one quiet. But speak to us. We'll definitely take a comment from you on that later. Sorry if I'm not saying that right. Onye, you know who? Onye Yusu E. Average rent in Edinburgh and Westminster, London. Westminster, don't face there, you know. That's where the Queen's house is. That's where the House of Parliament is. That one is for the lords and the ladies. That one, you will struggle in Westminster. And you've asked for average rates. You've not told us if you want a 1-bedroom, studio, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Average can be anything. Average can be 10,000 a week. Average can be 500. Send us a bit more information on that request on Yesui. Type of house. You know, if you are looking to choose, go for Edinburgh. Don't go for Westminster. If you get admission in Westminster, or a job in Westminster, you have to live about 1 hour away from Westminster, where Nigerians live, where new arrivals live. You cannot live in Westminster. I'm going to have to stop cautioning myself, you know, because every time people message me, I'll say something like, oh, you can't live here. A gentleman messaged me this week and he said he wants to live in a very nice posh building. And I said, it's very expensive, because I'm always trying to save people money. I'm always trying to tell you what is going to work for you. And he was like, how dare you? He said, I want to spend 4,000 a month on my rent. So I knew I was dealing with a big man. So I need to caution myself how I say these things. If you want to stay in Westminster, you can stay in Westminster. It's very expensive. It will be along the lines of £4,000 a month for like a 2-bedroom house. So about £1,000 each week. So if you can afford it, we have some people who message us that are quite big people, and we attend to everybody. But my natural brain is always kicking in. When people say a very expensive area, I'll be like, no, there's why will I pay 4,000 when I can pay 1,500 somewhere else? It doesn't make sense to me, but people have their taste, and we should not overlook that. So Westminster is quite central, is the center of everything. So if you're going to go there, get ready to pay quite a lot of money. Okay. So I think I have one on YouTube again. Oh, Deborah Deyemo, thank you for joining. Welcome back to the show. How is Sheffield Hallam for accommodation? Sheffield is not too bad. I have a lady we're helping in Sheffield. I would still say temporary accommodation, 3 weeks you should budget for. 3 weeks to a month of Airbnb. It's not terrible. It's cheaper. 2-3 bedroom you can get for like £700 a month, 800. But it's still not easy. There's no way that's easy now, to be honest. But compared to some areas, it is easier. So I hope that helps, Deborah. Okay. It's official, Itopa. Can myself and partner stay in student accommodation? Very unlikely. Very unlikely. Some schools do it. Some schools. Not a lot. So I had a gentleman we were looking for in Newcastle. After about 2 or 3 weeks, he got frustrated and he went to student accommodation, and somehow he managed to get his wife in there. I don't think he's telling them. But some schools, it depends on how the student accommodation is set up. Some you will have to share kitchen, you will have to share some facilities. If it's those shared ones, it's very unlikely because one of the other students will soon kick up a fuss or say something. But some student accommodation is off campus or, slightly outside campus, and you get your own flat. Who cares what you do in your flat, So you can inquire about the student accommodation. It just depends on what they have, and just watch out that it's not shared kitchen, shared living room. Once it's shared, people are paying, and student accommodation is not cheap, by the way. Student accommodation is really expensive. In London, student accommodation is about 2,500, 3,000 for a 1 bedroom. So it's easier to get, but it's not always the solution because sometimes it's much more expensive. But another student, maybe from India or from China, who is paying that high fees, and then you're there with your wife, they may not be happy because they will feel like, they're being cheated out or something. So it's possible, not always. So it's neither here or there. Titi Lokbe 861. I need a 2-room shortlet for 1 month around central London. Do you really need to be in central London, Titi Lokbe? Because you will 1 bedrooms. So I do shortlets as well. I have properties I use for shortlets, and just a room in a shared house for 1 week is about £500. So in a month, shortlet for just a room in the house is about £2,000 in central London. So central means central here. It means it's the busiest part of London. It's where the bankers or the rich people are. You can probably stay in an outer part of London. London transportation system is brilliant. When they tell you the train is 5:27, it'll be there at 5:27. And if it's a 20-minute train ride, you can consider outer areas like, because you want a 2-bedroom, it's going to be really expensive in central London. I can promise you that. You'd be paying quite a lot. So I just said 10 minutes ago, I need to caution myself on people's pockets, but I can't help you. I'm always trying to save you money. 2-bedroom, I would be looking at areas like, anywhere in zone 4. Because central London is zone 1. We have transportation zones. So like the London is there, and the middle bay is zone 1, a little bit out, zone 2, zone 3. So zone 4 can be north, south, east, west, but just on the outer rim. Zone 4, it goes all the way to zone 7, 8. 7 and 8 are a bit too far, But I say like zone 4, you can look at Lewisham. You can look at areas like Hertford, for good transportation, there's straight trains straight to London Bridge. All these areas I'm mentioning, there's trains to London Bridge, 20 minutes, you are in the center. So sometimes we look at our, job, or we look at the offer of admission from the school, and you are coming to a new country. I totally understand it. When I go to Holland, or I go to France, or I go to all these other countries, I want to stay next to where I'm going, because it's like, I don't want too much stress. But in reality, you'll be paying out a fortune if you are staying there for up to a month or two. So you can message me for more information about that if you need us to run a search for you. I would advise you look at places that are not central. Even if you have to be in central every day, promise you it will not take you an hour to get to the center. We have really good transport, and you should be fine. Funlola, what are the disadvantages of staying in a rural area? I think we covered that in a bit earlier. I don't know if you dropped out for a bit, but rent is easier, but you need a car because no good transportation. Things are far from each other. There's a lot of bias out there. I don't want to say racist people, but people that are not very welcoming. Yeah, you might even find it hard to rent there because people might look at your application and just say, oh, we don't want certain type of people in this area. It's Bedford, the rural area, not the city of Bedford. So you would have the actual city. It will still be a big town. I think we spoke about Bedford and another city you were comparing last week or 2 weeks ago. Milton Keyes, MK. So if I were you, I would face Milton Keyes just as a newcomer. Later, you can move to Bedford while you get your bearings after a while. Milton Keyes, there's more accessibility, more shops, more things to go into. But there's no area of the UK that is truly rural in the sense of you are cut off from everything. No, there's always stuff around. It's just as a new person, you want to be somewhere that's a bit busier, that you can access things a bit more easier. If you put yourself in an area where it's hard to get to things, I feel like you are disadvantaging yourself. I beg your pardon. Okay. Registration Day. I'm coming for May. I can't remember what your first question was. Let me go back a bit. Can you get a 2-bedroom in Luton and you are coming for May? Registration. So yeah, it's a good time to start searching. If you're coming for May, we're in March now, so you've got 2 months. You probably won't get it before coming. It'll probably still when you arrive. So, but Luton is just a really tough place right now to look for. So, so we've got another one on YouTube from John Ella. Please, I am concerned about how soon I can get a job as soon as I arrive. Any job, especially care. Can I get a care job in 2 weeks? This is not very likely. And did you tell me where you were going to earlier? Let me just go back. You said Sunderland or Birmingham? In Birmingham, probably. Sunderland, maybe not. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people go for care because we've been told it's an easy one to get, and you can get it quite easily. You can make money. If you get a care job, for instance, in Sunderland, this is why I said watch one of our old lives. I've covered a lot about these jobs issue. If it's a domiciliary care job, they might give you 3 or 4 clients in a day, and they're in different locations. You only get paid for the time you spend with the client. So if you spend 30 minutes or 1 hour with that client, that's what you get paid for. If it takes you 1 hour or 2 hours to get there, you don't get paid for that. So you will find yourself in a situation where you leave home like 7 o'clock in the morning to start going around for your jobs. If you are taking public transport, it takes you 1 hour to here. You spend 30 minutes, 2 hours to here. You will be out all day and they will pay you 3 hours money. I had a story of a lady who did that a few weeks ago on one of the old lives. And it was a Sunday morning they gave her jobs. Before she could get to the first job, she discovered that the bus there starts at 9 a.m. and she had to get to the job by 8. So she had to take Uber. That day she went to 3 jobs. In the end, she made £0. So don't get stuck on care jobs, care. I don't know why you want care. maybe you think it's an easy one to do or it's easy to get. Like I said, check our former lives. We've covered jobs a lot. I would advise you to go into security, to be honest. Not care. So yeah, hopefully that helps. It's by Yoeza, and you say Norwich. Yeah, what's up with Norwich? Norwich is Norwich. I don't know what you are asking me. You just said Norwich and question mark. So if you want to come back with a bit more information, we can help. Monye Glory, hello. Thanks for joining. I see you every week here. Thank you so much. Minis by Missy. I'm coming in September to University of Hertfordshire. Can I stay in Harrow or Barnet or Milton Keynes? What's your advice and what's the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment? Okay, so that's a lot of areas to give you average rent for. Milton Keynes certainly will be good for Hertfordshire. Barnet, Harrow, a bit further out. You'll be spending quite a bit on transportation daily. I get this question all the time, and people say, oh, my school is here, but shall I stay 2 hours away so that I save money? If you message me and tell me about that, the first thing I will check for you is the distance and how much you will spend on transport a day. I had a lady who did that the other day, and we discovered that she would be spending £80 go and come for 1 day journey. So she quickly realized that it's not possible because she has to go to school 3 times a week. That's 240 in 1 week. So that money you are running away to pay from an expensive area that you want to go for a cheap area or something like that, you end up paying it in transportation. Harrow or Barnet is not impossible. They're not terribly far from UH. You can do that commute. It's just how much will you be spending a day? You may be spending £15 a day to go and come. But then again, you might be able to get a house easier. Harrow is not easy for houses now. And even Barnet. The lady I spoke about at the beginning of the show who has lost money in two different estate agents, these are the areas she's looking in. So they are not even more better than Luton, St. Albans. All of that area is very congested right now. So if you're doing it to save money, I don't think it's a great idea. You'll spend on transport. If you're doing it because of ease of looking for a place, remember, Barnet and Harrow are actually under London, where Hertfordshire is in Hertfordshire. So the pressure in London is even more than, as much as we say there's pressure in there, the London pressure is worse than there. So you are even coming to a worse area. So I would still concentrate on St. Albans, Hertfordshire, maybe MK, Milton Keynes. Okay, so I've got another one on YouTube, Ifunaya. Is it easy to get remote jobs as a student in the UK? Yeah, you can get remote jobs. It just depends what exactly are your qualifications. What would you be doing as a remote worker? But are you into IT? There's so many things that are going remote now. So it just depends on what you can do. But there are jobs there, definitely. UK is more forward. They're pushing for the remote working. So definitely everybody wants to do remote here now. Deborah, also, what is the rent price in Leicester, de Montfort University for a 1-bedroom? Okay, Leicester, let's have a quick look for you. Leicester. And you want a 1-bedroom for Deborah. Okay, so you're looking anywhere between about 550 to 850. 550 to 850. So the very new places are about 850. The older houses are 550, 600. So you average maybe 650. You can find a nice place within close proximity to the school. I hope that helps. Okay, so we've got a few more on Insta. Reduce Sheon Dede. It's Bedfordshire Uni you got admitted into. Coming for May. You have split this into so many things now. I can't even find your first question. Can I get to 2-bedroom in Luton, you said, and you're coming from May. Okay, but you want it in Luton. You can get, it's not that you can't get in Luton, it's just it's a harder area to get. There are areas where once we see these areas, we know you're going to be in temporary accommodation for a long time. So we're just giving you heads up to know that you have 1 or 2 months for Airbnb. It's not that you can't get. The thing with properties is every day some properties go off the market. That's the same way some come on. Some people move out, a new property comes on. So it's a very shifting market. Just because it's hard now doesn't mean there's nothing new. So you will always get. It's just the time it takes and how many people are you competing against in that period. Nothing is impossible. So don't, I know I talk a lot. I'm just trying to warn people about what to expect, but nothing is impossible. You can always get a house in any area. It's just how long does it take? This is the question. How long will it take me to get a house in Luton is a more appropriate question. And I would say prepare for 6 weeks to 2 months to be in temporary accommodation. If you're looking at prices, you want a 2-bedroom, right? In Luton. So let's see. 2-bedroom, you'll be looking anywhere between about 1,100 to 1,350. So you might fall in the middle there, 1,002, 1,003 for Luton, definitely. Reju Sheun Dede, I hope that helps. Zone 4, what's the cost? Titi Lokwe. Yeah, much cheaper than Zone 1, certainly. I think you wanted temporary accommodation. So message me. Temporary accommodation is very different to permanent accommodation because it depends. Temporary accommodation, it depends on how beautiful the house is, how new it is. It's not one where you can have an average price. If you're looking for a 2-bedroom in outer London, I would say you could probably spend 600 a week for a 2-bedroom flat in those areas I mentioned earlier, Lewisham, Catford, about 600 a week. Okay, it's official, Itopa. Thank you. Is it okay to school in Birmingham and live in Walsall? Because I saw the rents are cheap, but my concern is safety. Why are you concerned about safety? There's nothing wrong with Walsall. It's all right. What aspect of safety are you concerned about? I'd be more worried about the travel cost, but you can certainly live in Walsall. I have a lady who we just got a place for in Walsall, and she goes to the uni in Birmingham. So that is possible. It's not very far. Walsall. Let's see. It depends on your school in Birmingham as well. Are you going to Aston University? Are you going to University of Birmingham? But it's a 24-minute drive. So you can see it's not very far. It's about 30 minutes on the train. So Walsall is a very okay option for you. Official or Itopa. Midday photography. Please, any information about Aberdeen, Scotland accommodation? What exactly do you want to know? Aberdeen is it's not easy, but it's better than England. You can also get it while you are still in Nigeria if you are very proactive to start now. They don't need right to rent up there. So that's one advantage for you. Midday photography. I hope you're still there. So, you know, you have a slight advantage over people coming to England. You can probably get it from there. It's not as expensive, but there's not as many houses available. So sometimes Scotland is tight as well. But if you start early, you should be fine. Deborah, thanks. And can you get a tech job as a student? As long as it doesn't interfere with your studies, most employers will take you on. Okay, sorry, I think you asked that earlier and I missed it. You can certainly get a tech job as a student. It just depends on your schedule and how often you go to school, because most employers, they need you in the daytime. And if you have lectures 3 days a week, I mean, how good can you be to them? But if you study something like networking now, for instance, networking was something I did when I was much younger. You go to all these companies' offices on the weekend, you know, you update all their computer software, you do new connections to servers. So tech job is very wide, you know. It depends on what part of tech you are dealing with. Is it something they need you there in the daytime? Is it something you can do at night or something that happens out of hours? You can certainly get a job in tech. I am Olori Bay. Thank you for joining. Always good to see you here. I got admission in Poplar. Please, where is cheap to stay? Okay, so Poplar is quite central. If you want to stay in East London, it will be Barking and Dagenham, Ilford. Those are all in the east. If you want to stay in the southeast, you can choose places like Thamesmead, Beckton. All these sort of places are much cheaper to stay. Beckton will be a very good one for Poplar, actually. Yeah. Woolwich Arsenal. There's a DLR train that goes straight to Poplar from there, and it's a very popular Nigerian area. Woolwich is like little Nigeria, like little Lagos Island. So you go on the bus in Woolwich and everybody is speaking Yoruba. We have colonized this part of UK, so yeah, Woolwich might be a good one for you. Thamesmead, Abbeywood, all of those. There's easy connection to the DLR and it gets you to Poplar in time. If you want to stay in East London is mainly Asian people, black people there as well, but obviously, yeah, there's options for you. Okay, so we got Dreszy 04. What is the best way to get a job in Manchester? I'm not going to cover that now. I would advise you to go on our YouTube channel. We have done quite a few shows on jobs, and just look in the chapters underneath in the info, you can see a lot about jobs. We are rounding up this show, so I'm not going to go off accommodation into jobs. I do apologize, but we've covered jobs extensively. Dreszy again, how much does a 2-bedroom cost in Manchester? You'd be looking anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500. You can get some for £1,000, 800, but they will be in the outer part of Manchester. If you're talking near the universities, it'll be somewhere like 1,200, somewhere in that range. Lion Rain, what's the average price of a 2-bedroom apartment in Luton? That's one we've done this evening as well, not too long ago. 1,350. I just did that 5 minutes ago. It's still on my screen. So between 1,100 to about 1,350. Aim for the middle, 1,250, somewhere there. Reduction. Is there anywhere else close to Bedford Uni I can get university accommodation aside from Luton? That's quite a big question. Certainly, you would have to do some research in the towns that are around there in terms of transport. A lot of this you can do on Google. Google shows you transport times and drive times. So just go on Google Maps, look at the cities around there, and just don't go for the bigger cities because there's a lot of pressure in that area. But you said Luton. Yeah, all that area, as we've been saying this evening, is very high pressure. Somebody even spoke of the towns closer to London, and I have given advice on that already this evening. I don't want to, because we want to take a bit of new questions, not the same ones. Can a student in Hertfordshire Uni live in Enfield? You can certainly live in Enfield. You're going to pay a lot of transport and spend a lot of time on transportation. It's not very close. Enfield is on the other end of the city. Olasho, thanks, bro. I must confess you are the best. Still waiting for good Lord. Though all things are going smoothly. Thank you for joining. That's someone I helped last week with some issues going through their referencing. So we're hoping to hear positive news on Monday and push forward. So yeah, stay in touch. We're always here. I don't answer you as fast as you like, but I'm always here, not to worry. Olori Bay, thank you. Dreszy, thank you. David Agbani, estimates for a 2-bedroom in Kent, you'll be looking at somewhere between 900 to 1,001. Kent is a very big area, so it depends where in Kent. Are you looking at Dartford, Gillingham, Chatham? Kent is quite wide. It's as big as London. So it just depends on the exact part. There are parts that are very expensive. There are parts that are cheaper. So if you come back with some more info or send us a DM, we can give you some more info on that. Okay, so we got one on YouTube. I always prioritize YouTube questions over Instagram. So if you want to get my attention, send me a question on YouTube, become a subscriber. I give them more priority. Ayola Odedeyi, on average, how long does it take to rent a one-bedroom apartment in Liverpool, and what is the typical cost? So Liverpool, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. It's not as bad as some areas. And for a cost, give me a second, I will tell you. Liverpool. So Liverpool is a diverse one. I think we had this question a week ago or 2 weeks. There's some areas that are really new and fancy, very expensive, and there's the older side of town. That's not too bad. Okay, one bedroom you want? Okay. Yeah, so there's one bedroom starting at 650, 500, 650 in Liverpool. And then on the other end, there's some for 1,100. I beg your pardon. So it just depends on what part of Liverpool you're going to. I'd say for a decent place, aim for about 750, 550, 750, somewhere in there. But if you want a very new flash apartment, you'll be looking at 1,000 plus. All right, Ayola, I hope that helps. Okay, so we'll be rounding this off shortly. We'll be rounding this session off shortly because we've gone way over our time. The problem is when the lives are too long, nobody wants to watch them on the replays because it's like, 2.5 hour video. When do I watch this? So we try to keep them to the 1 hour, but I like to answer your questions. I hate leaving people hanging. But unfortunately, sometimes even the equipment is not cooperating. So we do have to end at some point. So I'll take a few more quickly. Charlie Carfors. What are the things to check when choosing an apartment? Okay, that's quite a good question. So you want to look that there's no damp, there's no damp spots. You want to see it's generally in good condition. There's no breakages, no damage to the walls, that sort of thing. There's not a lot you can tell from just viewing. Sometimes you have to actually, from seeing it online, you have to actually go for a viewing, and that tells you everything you need to know. If there's mold in the house, as soon as you enter the house, you will smell it. If there's damp or mold, it's something you will smell. You can look on the windows, you'll see condensation, like water droplets gathering. It means there's no good heating. But then again, if no one is living there and it's been empty and they're not turning on the heating. So I don't want to tell you too many things that make you, go off piste, because this is what happens. People get a little bit of information and then they become super over picky, over selective. And this is something we went over earlier in the show. You kind of don't want to get too picky. But the dangerous one is damp and mold. That's one that can affect your children's health. So if you see anything like that, run. Black spots, black patches in the bathroom, all these moldy fungus kind of things. It's very bad for children breathing that in. There was a young child who died in London recently because they lived in a government house and there was mold in there and the government did nothing about it. So the parents are suing the government now. So definitely mold is your number one thing to look out for. There's other things, but these things are not what you look out for as a renter. It's if you're buying the house, subsidence, if the house is sort of tilting the roof, all that sort of thing. It wouldn't affect you too much if you're renting. It's just mold is your number one thing. And just the general condition of the house. A landlord who takes care of his property, it's very easy to show. If it looks dilapidated, everything is so old, falling apart, you want to be wary of that because they take a 1 month deposit from you, security deposit, when you move in. Now, if all the shelves on the cupboard are hanging off, this and that, by the time you use them 3 or 4 times, they will start falling off. And then that dodgy landlord will want to take that money from your deposit. So bad carpets as well, old dirty carpets that have been there forever. It shows you the landlord is not taking care of the house. And if they don't take care of the house, how concerned are they about your health? So just looking at it, you will know. Okay, so we got one on YouTube again. Lillian, thank you for still staying here. Do we have to take pictures of the state of the apartment before moving in? Very good question. You always come with the Zingers, don't you? This is something, anyone who gets a house through us, you will see we put the videos on our channel. But what we tell them as well is, as soon as you go in, take photos of every part of the house so that they don't charge you for things that you didn't break. Then number two, anything that looks like damage, any scratches on the wall, look in hidden places, open cupboards, open doors, anything that looks out of place, take a photo, send it to them immediately. And you'll be like, I didn't cause this. This is not me. So they can note it down. Usually, any good estate agent, before you move in, they will give you an inventory. They would have checked all those things and told you. But obviously, how many great estate agents do we have? Not a lot. A lot of them are not the best. Trey Ogene, thank you for joining. Seems like first time I've seen you send in a question. Cheap city. There's no cheap city in UK. But if you are still in the process of deciding, I covered this in a different show. You can go for a very cheap city like Middlesbrough. There's areas, outside of Scotland that are very cheap. What you have to weigh up is the place that is cheap to rent, there are no jobs there. That's why even the local people that are born in those areas, they come to the city to look for jobs. So don't let cheap city make all your decisions for you, because everything has pros and cons. You can go to the cheapest city in the UK, but it's a rundown place. Nobody lives there. There's no jobs there. There's nothing happening there, and you need a job when you've just come from Nigeria. So the expensive cities, the job you get will pay for the expense. The people that are living there now, they are just like you. They're working, they're getting everything. So don't just switch on cheap city. That's all I'm thinking about, cheap city. Think of job opportunities. Think of proximity to what you came for. If you are coming for studies, how easy is it to live there? How close are you to Nigerian communities? Do you have children that need care? When you are working, will someone have to take care of your children? There's so many other things to consider. So if you have a bit more information, send us a DM. We can give you advice. We can consult with you if you are still in the process of making up your mind where to go, because that's what it sounds like when you say cheap city. Go a few there. Official Itopa, I have admission with Aston Uni, and I heard that Warsaw normally have gang fights. There's gangs everywhere in the UK. Don't worry. It's not as bad as Butemeta or some parts of Lagos. These things don't affect us Nigerians. Honestly, you could be here and you are living a different life. There's stabbings every day in London. People get stabbed. At least in a week, you will hear one or two gangs fighting. But the people that are fighting, they know themselves. It's the ones that have sold drugs to the other ones that have not paid for their drug. They are not just going on the roads. It's not like Nigeria, like, riot just happens or election violence and people are just causing. No, those gang people, they know themselves. It's like they have territories. So these young boys, some people control one area. They're the ones who sell drugs there. If they see somebody from another area come into their area, they can kick off. It doesn't affect you, honestly. Don't let that worry you, or you just go to your school, put your head down. It will wash past. Okay, so MZJ, the average price for a 2-bedroom in Birmingham. I think we've covered this already. I do appreciate some of you join at different times, but these are questions we've answered this evening already. Okay, so in Birmingham, for a 2-bedroom, you want to be budgeting between 1,100 to 1,300. So I hope that helps. 1,001 to 1,300. I just checked and I saw Bedford is 36 minutes from Luton. How much can I get apartment there from Bedford? Okay. What size of apartment? What does, there's a lot more questions there. Lillian on YouTube, what would you say is the maximum distance a person should stay away from their school? It's not more about distance, it's about the transport links. So how fast will a train get you there and how much is that train? I've had people ask me questions about a train that is 2.5 hours. That kind of journey is ridiculous because Anything outside, the way they price transport, within the city, there's one price. Going out is a totally different price. It's like if you are within Lagos, you could spend maybe 1,000 naira to get from one place to the other, or 500. If you're going to Ibadan now, you're going to spend like 5,000. Beg your pardon. And here the differences are a lot more. So once you're going out of trains that go from one city to another are very expensive compared to in a day within the city, you can spend £5, £7 for your transport. If you're going to another city, it can be £20. So it's like 3 times of what you spend normally. So what you want to look at is how far is the train ride and how much is the train return. That's more, that's more important. I won't say, 30 kilometers, 50 kilometers. It means nothing because the transport outside the big cities as well, there's connections that are very good and very frequent. And then there's areas where if you need to go from one to another, you need to take 3 trains. So you have to change things. So the distance is not important. It's how fast can you connect? Do you have to take 3 trains to get there? 3 trains and 2 buses. 1 bus from your house to the train station. Take a train, change. Take another train, change. Yeah. And that 3 trains and 1 bus can still be within 50 kilometers, whereas another place will be 70 kilometers, but it's 1 direct train and it might be a fast train that comes every 30 minutes. So you have more options. You don't want to be sitting on platform somewhere for hours and hours. So distance as a sense is not really a great way to measure it. So I'm closing down this session in the next 8 minutes. If we do get to your questions, yes, if you want priority, come on YouTube, send your question there. I will definitely answer. We're down to Lion Rain, 2-bedroom apartment in Bedford. Have I not done that one? I think people keep asking me the same question. I still have it on my screen. Did I answer that for you, Lion Rain, or did I answer that for someone? Yes. Oh, yeah, Regusinde, they asked that. So, 2 bedrooms in Bedford, you're looking anywhere between 700 to 1,100. So it's a large, vast range there. You can get very good ones for 900, like I'm seeing now, 950. 900, 950 is the average. You can get some up to 1,002, 1,001. But for someone just coming, I would aim for about 850, 900. Okay. Okay, so Lillian says thank you on YouTube. Yes, so yeah, distance is not the ultimate. Train connections, transport connections, prices you'll be paying. That's what you want to pay attention to. Omalicha Nah, thank you for joining. That's a new name on the channel. Hello, looking at coming to Wolverhampton in September. How much is a 2-bedroom at Wolverhamptons and environs? So we can only search one place at a time for you, unfortunately. But we'll check Wolverhampton. And that should give you, so you want a 2-bedroom. Yeah, between 650 to 900. So I always tell people go midway. If we say 650 to 900, don't focus on the 650 one. You're not going to get it. Everybody will be running for that one. It's budget 750 to 800 would get you a nice place. Okay, hope that helps. Okay. So, yeah, I think that's all the questions there. Regisunde, you have broken your question into like 3 or 4 parts. Honestly, when I answered the question, I can't remember what you asked last because I've answered 2 or 3 other people. Okay, so you checked Bedford, it's 36 minutes. How much can you get a 2-bedroom? So when you ask the question, please try and put everything together. What size of property, where you are looking? Otherwise, I'm lost after 5 minutes. Honestly, my brain is like a basket. There's too many things going on. You want Bedford, right? Bedford, 2-bedroom in Bedford. And I'm sure I just gave somebody else asked for that. So you should have been able to pick that up from someone else's answer, but we'll go over it again. Anywhere from 700, 800, Yeah, I just said that between 850, 950. That's where you want to aim at. There's some all the way to 1,000, but averagely about 895. Got 950 as well. That's where you want to be. And we've got 4 minutes to go, so I'm going to be quite strict on the time today because I thought we'll be doing an hour, and we've been here almost 2 hours now. Minis by Missy. Well done. Thank you so much for joining. I think we answered the question for you earlier. I'm not sure. Please, how much is a 1-bedroom in Milton Keyes? Okay. So Milton Keyes. You want, and it's a 1-bedroom. Okay, so Milton Keyes is quite expensive. I'd say 900 to 1,200, somewhere in there. Yeah. So I'd say you don't budget anything less than £1,000, 1,100. We'll get you something in Milton Keyes, hopefully. Regis, Sharon, Dede, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thanks for supporting us here. Farm Mbane for Chisholm. The one of Wolverhampton, is it per calendar month? So every price I give you is a monthly price. So yes, that will be per calendar month. That would be per calendar month. So we got one on YouTube. Trey Ogene. What's the rent for a 1 or 2 bed in Edinburgh? Is the city affordable? Well, Edinburgh, compared to London, is much more affordable, but it is getting up there in price now. So it's a place where a lot of people are going. So it is definitely on the rise. You said 1 to 2 bedroom. So, yep, 1 beds up to 1,100. Oh, wow, that's quite expensive, to be honest. You can get some for 900, 950, a lot at 1,000 something. 2 bedrooms, 1,002. Yeah, about 1 to all the way up to 1.5. Yeah. So Trey Ogana, it's not as affordable as it used to be, apparently. It is on the rise. All the capital cities are, the big cities, they're all going up. Edinburgh is a big city. After Glasgow, it's one of the next biggest cities in Scotland. So a lot of people are heading there. It's pushing up the prices. Especially these smaller cities, they don't have as much accommodation. So as soon as a lot of people start going there, the landlords start going wild. I hope that helps. So we have come to the end of the session, and Farm Net4 has just put one in at the last minute, as people tend to do. Thank you so much. Also, what's our conversion rate for budgeting coming over? I don't know what you mean by conversion rate. Is that the currency rate, black market, or Rwanda rate? Black market, you're not going to get central bank rates. Only the central bank gives you that rate for your Form A. So every other calculation, just use the black market rate. Nobody's going to give you 500 to 1 or 5, whatever the central bank is doing now. That is a fantasy. It doesn't affect the real world. Only for your Form A. That only helps you for paying school fees. After that, and I just learned recently that they've put a limit on Form A applications now. So if you're paying your school fees or you're coming next year, unfortunately, the people who came this year, they enjoyed it because they could pay their whole school fees using Form A. I think the central bank is limiting it to about 7,500 now. So if you've got 10,000 to pay, the rest you will have to do on black market, unfortunately. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate you all. If you're watching on Instagram and you love what we do, you want to help us keep going, kindly subscribe on YouTube. The video is on YouTube and the replay will be there for those who joined late. If you need to see anything we spoke about at the start, give us a rewatch on YouTube. The link is in the bio. We cover so much stuff. Like I've said, just go in the information of each video and we put chapters there. Every week we put chapters about what we discuss. So if you're interested in jobs, there's weeks where we have spoken about jobs for the whole session. If you need to know about schools for your children, all of that, we have all of that on YouTube. So please, let's not waste the information. There's a lot of information out there. You can access it. And I like to keep on topic each week so that we are getting the right information out to you. Thank you all, and do have a good rest of your weekend. Tomorrow is Monday. Wishing you all a good week. Take care. Bye.